Okay guys, we are back with the first video of what we're doing here, explaining the parts of a computer. So first we need to lay down the foundation. What is a computer? A computer is a device that has the ability to store, retrieve, and process data. That is the basic function of what a computer is. That means anything that can store, retrieve, and process data, as long as it can do those three, it's a computer. Your phone, it can process, store, and retrieve data. It can do all three of those things. So your phone is a computer. Your gaming console, it is also a computer. Anything that can do those three is a computer. So there's four different types of computers, and then each different computer falls into one of those categories. The first category we're going to talk about is a microcomputer. A microcomputer is a computer that has a microprocessor, like in a desktop computer, which is what we're mainly going to be focusing on in this little discussion of of the different parts of a computer. Is we're going to be mainly focusing with the parts that are in a desktop. A desktop uses a microprocessor, a CPU, Intel, AMD, other ones. Your phone has a microprocessor, gaming console, tablet, stuff like that. They have microprocessors. Um, then you got the mini computer or server. The mini computer or server is a mid-sized computer that most small to medium-sized businesses use to connect everything together. Then you got the mainframe, which the mainframe is a computer that's about the size of a refrigerator. It is used for large businesses, and it can support a couple thousand people on there, all working together at once. The mini computer server can only support a couple hundred because of its size. If you have a business and you have thousands of people connected working at the same on the same thing, you want a mainframe. But if you only have a couple of hundred or less, you want a server. The supercomputer. The supercomputer is the fastest type of computer. They're very expensive. NASA supercomputer. You have supercomputers that are used for weather forecasting, stuff like that. Nuclear energy research, petroleum exploration, stuff like that. They require supercomputers. They are the fastest and most expensive type of computer. So let's say someone does journaling and they travel all around the world all the time. They would require a laptop because it's portable, lightweight, and they can travel and use a laptop. Of course, you're not going to be using a desktop to travel around the world and do journaling because you can't tote a desktop everywhere you go. The a phone, you can't really do journaling that well on a phone because it it's easier to type a journal with a keyboard than it is anything else. Um, so let's say a company has over 20,000 employees. We would require a mainframe computer because it has a large storage capacity, obviously, because it's so large that it has a large storage capacity and needs a large storage capacity to support all of those people on one. It can so with all of that storage capacity, they can maintain stock, they can build customers, process order information, stuff like that can be done with a mainframe. So we're going to go ahead and go into the next part, output devices, and um, we're going to talk about a couple of different output devices in this video, and we'll talk about the next couple in the next video. But an output device is a computer part that allows a user to enter information into the computer. Um, Here's some examples: a keyboard, a mouse, scanner, microphone, joystick, trackball, touchpad, touchscreen, and light pen. Now we're going to talk about all of those if you don't know what they are here in the next video or in the next or this video or the next one. Let's talk about the keyboard. We all know what the keyboard is. It's used to enter text into the computer. Yes, there are other ways to enter text, but the keyboard is the main um, device to input text. Um, we know that it contains a lot of different keys. There's a lot of different kinds of keyboards. You have keyboards that only include the alphabet and its symbols. You have some keyboards or some keyboards for like bankers that only need the number pad. So there's all different kinds of keyboards and other things like that. The keyboard, the um, the keyboard gets its arrangement of letters and numbers from a typewriter keyboard that came way before the computer. That arrangement dates back to the 1970s when the typewriter first came out. Um, the keyboard, it got its name from the arrangement of the 6 keys at the upper left of the first 3 rows of the alphabetical keys. So, let's talk about this. How does a computer know when any button's being pressed? Let's just take the A key for an example. How do we know how does the computer know when the A key is being pressed? Well, the keyboard, I'm sorry, is made up of wires that connect together in a grid pattern. And the purpose of the keys is whenever it's pressed, it forces the wires to touch together underneath the keyboard so that a signal, an electrical pulse, is sent through the wire to the computer chip inside the keyboard. And then that computer chip sends the signal to the computer of what key just got pressed. So now, how do the keys bounce back? You know, when you press them and they pop back up, how does that happen? Well, is under each key is a piece of material called a dome. When a key is pressed, a plunger type um, a plunger type material, not material, but shape on the bottom of the key pushes down against the dome, and when the key is released, the dome springs back up. It's like a spring. It springs back up to its original shape, forcing the key back up at its rest position. So it's like a spring, but it stops at a certain spot. So the keys on the keyboard need to be pressed at a certain speed. Each person types at a different type rate. So if the key is held for a longer amount of time, then the wires connect for a long time. Then the computer thinks that it should type many letters instead of just one. That's why you can hold down the key and it type all the letters multiple times. We're going to talk about the mouse next. So the mouse is another main input device. You can use a computer without a mouse, but most people say it's a necessity for a computer. It's a small device. Some are larger than others. See, this is my mouse right here. Some are larger than others, some are smaller than others. But it's a small device that a person pushes across the desk surface to position the mouse pointer. Okay? So we know that you drag the mouse across the screen and it moves the mouse cursor to where you want it to go. The buttons at the top of the mouse are used to perform tasks such as making a selection, changing the view of the window, moving an item on the screen, or resizing an object. We know the left and right click buttons. Those are the main buttons on your mouse. So there's 2 types of mouses. You've got the optical mouse and the mechanical mouse. The optical mouse uses a tiny camera that takes over thousands of pictures per second to determine how to move the mouse pointer. the mouse has a small red light emanating LED. It uses an LED light that bounces light off the desk into onto a sensor, and then the sensor changes the light and changes the light onto an image. So basically, it uses an LED light to flash at the desk, then flash back up to a sensor that takes us a picture based on that light. Like this mouse here, you can't really see it, but it has that red light on the inside. So my mouse is an optical mouse. Um, Most mouses that you're going to find nowadays are optical mouses. Mechanicals are not really used that much. Older computers, they do use um, mechanical, which we're going to talk about that one next. The mechanical mouse uses a ball and rollers to determine how to move the mouse pointer. So it has a ball on it. So like, let's take this mouse. It would have a ball right here, and it would move the mouse based on which way that ball moved, up or down, left or right. So so when the mouse moves along the mouse pad or desktop, it causes the ball inside the mouse to move. As the ball moves, it touches rollers inside the mouse. So the ball moves and it touches rollers inside the mouse to make a wheel turn, which causes which way it goes, basically. Let's talk about one more, and then that's going to be it for today. Actually, we might do two more because there are quite a few more. Um, so a scanner. We're going to talk about the scanner and microphone today. The scanner is an input device, not a main one, but it is frequently used. Most printers now will have a scanner built into them. So it it reads text or pictures printed on paper and translate the information onto a form the computer can then use. We all we know that a computer reads everything in binary code. That is a series of ones and zeros on or off. So the computer can read everything. That's how a scanner works. It scans it and then transmits the image to the computer. It's the eyes of a computer. Okay, it sees the image or words on the paper and sends it to the computer. It is the eyes of the computer. Um, Scanners use a range of processes to copy an image. Some use a lamp that shines light across the object being scanned. In this case, the light is reflected off mirrors into a device. The device can tell the color of the pixel as well as the lightness or the darkness. And then this is what I was talking about. The device converts each pixel into a binary number. That way, when combined, makes up the image on the computer. They use LED lights, most of them. That's all you need to really know about the scanner. The microphone. The microphone is used to record or transmit sound made by a person's voice when they talk or sing. Like this. Most headphones you have for computers will have a built-in microphone. Some people will get a microphone that sits on the desk instead of having, this. Um, I don't because it personally takes up too much desk space, so I prefer the one on the headset. Um, the voice may be recorded in order to make music or create a narration, but it can be used to communicate with another person when using a computer in a separate location, like um, Skype or Discord. You can use the microphone to talk to other people that are not near you and talk to them that way so they can still hear you. Um, it acts as a phone with the microphone being the instrument used to speak to someone. Let's talk about a couple more. The joystick. The joystick is a lever that moves in all directions and controls the movement of a pointer or some other symbol. Joystick is similar to a mouse, except that with the mouse, the cursor stops moving as soon as the mouse stops moving. With a joystick, the pointer continues to move in the direction the joystick is pointing. To stop, the point of the joystick must return to its upright position. Most joysticks include buttons called triggers. Joysticks are used mostly for computer games, but are also used occasionally for computer-assisted design and other applications. We all know the Game Boy joystick. That's a prime example. People do use joysticks on computers. That's not very common anymore because most games are made for either an Xbox controller, which you attach to your computer, or a keyboard or mouse. Um, you don't really have joysticks as much as you used to on computers. It's just not very often. Let's talk about the trackball. The trackball is contains a ball which, when rotated, changes the position of the pointer on the screen. It's kind of like the mechanical mouse, except it's not. You don't have your hand on it. It's you would see this, then the ball would be here at the top, and you would use your fingers to rotate it along the screen, and it would have buttons on the sides or on the top of the ball. Unlike the mouse, the trackball is not pushed along the desktop, but it remains stationary with only the ball moving. So like I just said, it would stay stationary on the desk, and you would have your mouse on it and move it. I You don't see those anymore. Most of these you don't see anymore. Joystick, trackball, you don't see those a lot anymore. Um, the touchpad. Touchpad you don't really see anymore also because most things are, if you have any sort of touchpad or touch screen, those would be in the monitor where you could touch the monitor. The touchpad is used to position the mouse pointer. It reacts to the touch of a finger as it is moved across the pad. So like with the trackball, you would use your hand or fingers to move the ball, but instead you would use one finger and drag across for the touchpad. It attaches to the computer in the same fashion as a mouse. So it would plug in using a USB port just like the mouse. It does remain stationary, and the finger moves across to control the mouse pointer. Um, like on a laptop. There you go, laptop. Prime example. Um, you would use a laptop as the example. The touchpad at the bottom below the keyboard is the touchpad. The touch screen, those are the things you see a lot nowadays. Your phone that has a touch screen. Tablets has a touch screen. Some laptops have touch screens. Some computer monitors have touch screen available. A touch screen is a special monitor that is touched with a finger to make selections. This input device is popular with handheld devices such as tablets, cell phones, and music players. Um, Often used in public places, museums, or bank machines. An ATM, when you that is a touch screen to do your banking with. Um, it is also used with businesses. Cashiers use it to put in what you ordered, um, and make selections for the business. The light pen, that's something you don't see a lot either. A light pen is a pen-shaped object that is dragged over the computer screen, tablet, or other surface. Some people with long fingernails use light pens on their phones or stuff like that to make selections because they can't really position their finger well enough to make the selection. The pen is used to make many selections, write handwritten notes, or draw. A drawing tablet that uses a light pen to draw and connect it to the computer. So those are the different input devices that we're going to talk about. Next video, I went ahead and talked about all the input devices for that you need to know. Um, those are probably, there are other input devices, not many though, but those are the most common ones. Some of them aren't even that common now. Next video, we're going to be talking about output devices and what they do. Um, we're going to be talking about that in the next video. Output devices, speakers, headphones, monitors, printers, um, projectors, stuff like that. We're going to be talking about that next video. I want to thank you guys for watching and listening to this of what is the function, what are the different parts of a computer, and we're starting off with the basics before we actually get into the actual case of a computer. So I just want to thank you guys for listening and have a good day.